came from a program with a lot of hype last year, not necessarily the most execution in the CU Buffs, but is Xavier Weaver, right? And the thing with this room is the Cardinals room, him getting, signed to the Cardinals, besides the Chargers, before, they cut a few receivers, traded Keenan Allen, etc. They might have lacked talent more than any NFL team in the receiver room. They went out and got Marvin Harrison Jr., but then you got Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and Zach Pascal. Like, they don't have these guys that you're like, man, like these guys are solid. We're set. Xavier Weaver, where this guy comes in, runs a 4.140. When if he didn't go to the combine because he was hurt, but if he would have been at a combine, would have had a top 15 three-cone drill based on what he did at his pro day. Steve Smith talks about his tape. This is a guy who, he's on the little lighter side. He's about 6'1", 175. Him putting on 5-10 more pounds will be helpful, but ran a 4.4 140, so he's a speed guy. Has the ability to return kicks, has the ability with like a Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and him in the slot, and as that fourth receiver. I think he has a phenomenal chance to make a roster, and not just make a roster, but be an impact player. They did a lot to help out Kyler Murray this year, rather, and Trey McBride, getting him from CSU, and CSU's been putting out some tight ends, it looks like, the last few years. But, improving that receiving room was a priority for them. And I think this is a guy that in the preseason, they're not going to play him as much as they probably want to. So other teams are not signing this guy, right? Because if they could probably try to stash him on the practice squad for a second, he'll get elevated to game day. But I think he's going to be a guy that makes some plays in their preseason, and they're going to try to stash him so the teams act like they don't know he exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another guy that's walking into a pretty good situation. To your point, Mike, that wide receiver room was just bereft of talent, right? Like, there was nothing there. Then, of course, they go and get arguably the best receiver in the draft. So that's wide receiver one. But after that, it's really I would say that those other positions are up for grabs. I think that particular room, more than any in the league, it's that and the Chargers, right? Like, I think there's real competitions for those wide receiver 2, especially wide receiver 3 on that team. And, a really solid showing in training camp, a really solid showing probably in the preseason, he could probably lock in that. And I think, man, if you're able to get this guy into the slot, the things that he could do in the slot could be scary. Especially, all this protection that they've kind of helped surround Kyler with, right? They paid him. And Kyler, I think everybody knows, like, he's got talent, he's got an arm, and now you got a couple guys that can go run up under these balls, and he doesn't really have to take too much under it. I think, this is not a knock on Marvin Harrison's game, but like, they didn't draft Marvin Harrison to take the top off of a defense. They got him for his hands, his contested catch ability, and for his route running. So, unlike Marvin, he's got a different sort of skill set. You can kind of send him over the top, and he'll help take the top off of a defense and really just allow Kyler to kind of roll out and, unroll one of those deep bombs and hit you over the top with it. So, yeah, I can see him on a 53 easy.
Absolutely, man. And a special shout out to the 407. He went to Orlando Christian Prep. Man, that's a good school. I know all too well because one of my kids used to go there, man. So, and just see what he did while at USF and then turn it up to the next level. Y'all, 68 receptions, 908 yards, and 6 touchdowns while playing at Colorado, man. Just really, there were so many times where, him and Shedeur, man, their connection was amazing. Their connection was amazing. They didn't have a whole lot of time together, man. So this is a guy, I think at worst case scenario, he's making the practice squad. But if he does, I see him starting no later than week 3 or 4 on the active roster, making a name for himself. So I'm rooting for him. He was literally one of my favorite wide receivers in this year's draft. I am definitely biased because I love Coach Brime and I defend him a lot, even though sometimes I don't quite agree with everything. But I love Coach Brime so much and that whole team, all the special magical things they're doing in Colorado. But Xavier Weaver's that guy, man. So go check him out. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for watching another episode of The Touchdown with Doug Smith, where we have exclusive NFL content and exclusive NFL interviews. Be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Follow us on social media. See you on the next one.